David Platt, Jack P. Shepherd, found himself consumed with guilt in tonight's gripping episode of Coronation Street as he faced the devastating consequences of his actions. The aftermath of last week's shocking car collision continued to unfold, leading to heartbreaking confrontations, bitter accusations, and an uncertain future for multiple characters. In a desperate attempt to escape his mounting problems, David had devised a plan that would have ended his life. He arranged for a fatal car accident, intending to end it all. However, his plan took a tragic turn when Daisy Midgley, Charlotte Jordan, happened to drop her shopping at the worst possible moment, right as the speeding vehicle approached. Acting on instinct, David shoved Daisy out of harm's way, saving her life, but getting hit himself in the process. While David survived, the consequences of the crash were far more devastating than he had anticipated. Daisy, who was pregnant, tragically lost her baby. Tonight's episode saw David still recovering in the hospital, overwhelmed with guilt and uncertainty. Outside with his wife, Shona, Julia Golding, he was taken aback when she confirmed that the money Harvey Gaskell, Will Mellor, had been demanding had finally been paid off. At first, Shona avoided telling David where the money had come from, but the truth quickly surfaced when Daniel Osborne, Rob Mallard, happened to walk past and revealed everything. The money had come from Daisy. This revelation alone was enough to make David feel guilty. But his emotions were pushed to breaking point when he discovered that Daisy had lost her baby as a direct result of the crash. The weight of his decision hit him like a ton of bricks. His reckless plan had shattered someone else's life in the most unimaginable way. Meanwhile, at home, Daisy was drowning in grief, struggling to process everything that had happened. The past few days had been life-altering for her, and she was unsure of how to move forward. Determined to at least express her gratitude, she headed to the hospital to visit David, intending to thank him for pushing her out of the way. At this point, she had no idea that the crash had been orchestrated by David himself. When David finally mustered the courage to confess the truth, Daisy's entire perspective of him changed in an instant. The man she had initially seen as her savior was, in fact, responsible for the pain she was now experiencing. Her gratitude turned to fury as the weight of his actions sank in. Devastated and furious, Daisy returned to the Rovers, where she quickly spiraled out of control. She threw everyone out of the pub and turned to alcohol to numb her pain. As Gemma Winter, Dolly Rose Campbell, left, she realized how bad things were getting and decided to inform Jenny Connor, Sally Ann Matthews, of the situation. Shortly after, Shauna arrived at the pub to try and reason with Daisy. Knowing how much trouble David could get into if she reported him, Shauna pleaded with her not to take action against him. However, before Daisy could fully process what Shauna was saying, Jenny walked in and intervened. Unlike Shauna, Jenny had no intention of guilt-tripping Daisy into silence. She reminded Daisy that she had every right to do whatever she felt was necessary regarding David. Shauna's plea didn't have to dictate her decision. She needed to do what was right for herself, regardless of David's family situation. While David's fate was hanging in the balance, Daisy's anger found a new target, Jenny. After discovering that Jenny had made a pass at Kit Green, Jacob Roberts, Daisy was furious. The betrayal only added fuel to her rage, leading to an explosive confrontation between the two. But it wasn't just Kit's involvement that fueled Daisy's anger. In a deeply emotional moment, Daisy confronted Jenny about the lies she'd fabricated regarding her pregnancy and Daniel. If Jenny had never concocted that deception, Daisy argued, she never would have stormed out of the pub last week. And she never would have been hit by the car. With tears streaming down her face, Daisy uttered the words that cut the deepest. "You are the reason my baby is dead, and I will never forgive you." As emotions continue to run high, the fallout from these shocking revelations is far from over. Will Daisy report David for his reckless actions, sealing his fate? Or will her grief cloud her judgment, leading her to take an even darker path meanwhile? Jenny is left reeling from Daisy's devastating words. Will she fight to repair the relationship, Or is the damage too deep to mend? One thing is certain, this tragedy has changed everything. The repercussions of David's decision will continue to ripple through Weatherfield, leaving a lasting impact on everyone involved. Make sure to tune in to Coronation Street to see how this dramatic storyline unfolds.